Hello, everyone. This is Shayla Gibbs on Recipe for Success. I hope you're not listening, but if you are, do spread the word. Today, I would like to welcome you, Rosa, owner of Pilatus Plus Wellness in Weybridge, where she educates us and everyone who will be listening on how Pilates can help with menopause and perimenopause. Welcome, Rosa. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Tell us about yourself to start with.
Okay. Well, as you said, I live in Weybridge now. We I set up my business um, in London when I was 30. Had a career change before as a radiographer, and working in medical field. And it just wasn't my passion. It was a great job, but not my passion. And I just thought I'm going to go and do personal training, and just go and do a course, see where it takes me. And then suddenly I got really, really busy, and that was great. I then went into Pilates, and I loved the combination of personal training, Pilates, and then it can be really good to combine it with my knowledge from previous career as a radiographer. And I've carried on ever since. So now I'm 49, perimenopausal as well. And and I had to set up my business in Weybridge 3.5 years ago. We moved during the lockdown. I still keep it running in London during Zoom. I've got my clients on Zoom, and also set up the on demand as well. So lots of my clients have grown with me, and they're going through perimenopause, menopause as well. And also got clients younger and older as well. So, and I set this studio up, you can see behind me.
Yeah.
Set that up last year because we built an extension so that I can work from home, have the kids there, and just make it work for us really, with work and career
And how do you balance motherhood, work,
it's
menopause, clients, all of
yeah.
it?
Well, basically, I'm a workaholic, so I'm really glad that things have picked up now. I'm here, and now I set the studio up. So I'm there for the kids, but then I'm also working flat out when they're at school. I'm working in the evenings. I found when I started going into the menopause, like perimenopause, it was literally during lockdown, and it was a real struggle because we just left London. I was going crazy during lockdown, and I was just trying to push the McLaren pram up these thin roads and just to get out and walk, just so I had some like headspace. And basically, long story cut short, I injured my back. I had a prolapse in my neck, brachial plexus pain, and I had to still teach on Zoom and Pilates. So it was a struggle, but I was like, I'm not losing my clients, and I'm just going to do whatever it takes. So that was the thing that led me to actually getting a bone density scan, because I was getting a lot of pain in my thoracic spine. I've had that previously, because I'm just predisposed to that condition of arthritis in the family history, and I just wanted to make sure that what my bone density was like. And obviously, bone density, perimenopause, menopause is linked, and you don't want to be doing lots of flexion exercises, which we do in Pilates. You want to adapt the exercise. And seeing as I was doing 20 hours a week of physical exercise demonstrating, it was exhausting. I wanted to make sure that my bone density was okay. So I was doing loads of loaded exercise, where you're strengthening. I was running, doing all these exercises, had a bone density scan. I was osteopenic. And I was kind of shocked because I was thinking, how can I be osteopenic, doing all this loaded exercise, strong, running? But then when we looked into it, my vitamin D was low, iron was low, and also I was going into perimenopause. So this is kind of fundamental. This is the main reason why I went on to HRT, purely for my bone density. I went on quite early. So I was 47 when I went on. I'm now 49. And I've had another bone density scan since, and my bone density's improved, which is great. But it also then led me into looking into what exercise we need to do to really protect our bones, to help us during perimenopause, menopause, and also just to help with our strength training, with how our bodies change during this time. And that's what kind of made me really change the classes that I now do for clients, because many of them also are going to do the same thing. And so I can explain to all of you and your listeners what's going to be helpful. I can do that later on. But we definitely include a lot more strength training and kind of dynamic plyometric training. And I can explain to you later why we need to do that and how it affects hormones.
Exactly. So how does exercise affect menopause or perimenopause?
Okay, so number one, we all know any exercise that you do is going to help your mental well-being. Pilates, I can relate to the Pilates, we're working on the breathing. Just doing the breathing, the calm, the focus on your body, the focus on you, when sometimes life could be chaos everywhere else. If you're just focusing on yourself, that internally is going to have a positive effect. Secondly, Pilates, obviously, the strength training, so the core strength, the posture awareness, that's going to help us. But what we do, what I'm very mindful of is whether it's mat or whether it's reformer, I want to try and load bone density, load your muscles. So what I might do with the reformer is great because we add the resistance. We've got the resistance training, and this is going to help with our bone density. But we've also got like the jump board, which is fun, and we do the plyometric movement. When you're doing the jumping, or even if you do dynamic movement, that alone is going to help with the bone density. So whether it's the mat, so on my videos, sometimes people just don't have time. So we do like a 20-minute session, and we're going to do this on another podcast together, and we're going to show people what we do to help them. But we would dynamic squats, dynamic lunges, but then we gradually increase the resistance, so we'll add the weight. So a bit of personal training element does come in, and having heavier weights, but it's not something you can go straight into. The reason we need to do this is there's so many podcasts out there that describe it in detail, so I'll leave it for them. I'm just going to stay in my lane. But mainly the muscles, when we have changes in our estrogen levels, the contraction of our muscles doesn't necessarily work as it used to. So the actin in the muscle fibers, the contraction we get is not as effective. So we need to stress our body to get that same response. So this is why the strength training comes in, and you're not going to build bulk by doing heavy weights. You do not have enough testosterone in your body to build that bulk, and you'd have to be eating so much and being so vigilant with your diet to get that. So this is why the strength training, the heavier weights, which we do gradually, we'll build the ligaments, the tendons first, and then we're going to do lower reps like you do in Pilates, reps of 8, strength training, with the movements, with like more sets. So this is how we're going to build the strength training, and the beauty of that is then we can boost our testosterone. I don't know about you, but my testosterone levels, another reason why I get so exhausted, are literally on the floor. So I found I was so exhausted. So still taking the HRT, I'm on the NHS for this, but I still have very low testosterone, and I didn't want to take the testosterone that they offer with the NHS because I was a bit scared to, and we wanted to boost my estrogen levels up first before I started taking testosterone. But to try and do this naturally is a really good thing. So I'm going to do that and then see how that works. And that was my big motivation, to then share with everybody else that maybe naturally...
Did it change your body? Sorry to interrupt. Did it change your body? Because we all know when we go through the perimenopause, we put weight on. and it takes ages to lose it. Our body's out of control, doesn't really know what's happening. Does all of that training helps
Yeah,
maintaining our body, I guess?
totally. I mean, it's a lot more effective to do. Sometimes you just don't have the time. So to do those 20-minute sessions 3 times a week would be a lot more effective than
Yeah,
doing 40-minute run at the gym or just being the treadmill. You need to
got it.
shock the body. You need to give it the stressors that perhaps you didn't give before. And it's like any
Yeah,
workout, you just get used to it when you do it. So you constantly have to change the workouts that you're doing. But definitely with perimenopause and menopause, to do more strength training means you're going to get more tone and more definition. We're going to increase our muscle mass because fundamentally our muscle mass is going to gradually drop, as we all know, with the drop in our hormones. Well, you might not know, but it does. And so it's harder to build the muscle mass. So this is why it's also really
got it.
important to do more strength training for your bones, for
Yeah,
the muscle mass. And the more muscle mass you have, the better metabolism, the better you can burn fat. And so this is why it's important. And also there's so much science into this which might be outside the scope. There's so many different podcasts that I'm sure all of you perhaps listen to, but I listen to them all the time to try and get information and knowledge from
yeah,
professors, scientists, and so like TED Talks and DOAC and, so
yeah.
definitely listen to those. But we all know that sometimes one thing I'd struggle with was I would always hear in different podcasts that you have a cycle, but if you're like me and you got your marina car in and you're on HRT, you have no idea where you are in your cycle. So I know I still maybe intermittently would have periods, but I've got no idea
Mm-hmm.
where I'm on a cycle. And people would say,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
because you can't then do the whole, sometimes you work hard you're more productive at the beginning of your cycle, so from day 1 to
Yeah,
14, and then you blitz it during that ovulation phase, and then you take it a bit easier in the back end of your cycle when your hormones are dropping, etc. We can't do that when we're in that, but what we can do is listen to our body. If you feel exhausted, go for a walk for your mental
yeah.
well-being, and maybe do some mobility Pilates or the
Mm-hmm.
mat Pilates with a series of 5. Do just a 20-minute routine, because I think it's about doing something every single day, whether it's 10 minutes or just going for that walk, getting it into your habit. And I heard from a podcast recently that if we exercise, it drops our chance of dementia by 30%. So
Mm-hmm.
the healthier you are, the more exercise
Oh,
you do.
wow.
Long
Yeah,
term, we just need to make this our habit and make it our priority, really, the exercise.
yeah.
But Pilates, strength training, concentration, coordination, we still need to work on that for you. Um, and
So much so.
mobility, flexibility. And do you know what? It's fun. Like, I love so much teaching the variety. And I get like excited about like, oh, I'm going to teach this today. And like, you're like, oh, we don't yet. But my challenge for you is to like make sure that you're like, okay, let's do the next hour. We'll work on that, Sheila.
Um, do you have men? Is there more? What is the percentage? Women, men? Because we all talk about menopause, but let's be honest, because I really want to do a podcast about the menopause. Because men, my husband has hot flashes and my husband has mood swings. So that is real. No one can tell me menopause does not exist. So your clients, are they more men, women? Do you have men? How does it work?
I actually personally have a real mixture of clients. So I've got lots of men that come and do the reformer. I think the reason of maybe they feel more comfortable doing one-to-one or with their partner. A lot of couples come and see me, and a lot of men come, but for specific reasons. So I have a client that comes to see me because he has in the ear, he gets dizziness, and we want to work on the vestibular system. So your spatial awareness, where your body is in space, working on the reformer for that is really, really good. So he definitely notices a difference in his balance, and we're working on that. So we have very specific kind of targets, I find, with the men. And another man comes, another health issue, but he just wants his own well-being, wants to focus on that. I have quite a few men actually that come and they want to do 2-3 times a week. Lower back issues, back pain, posture, they're at the computer all day. They want to do something for them that helps their back. I guess I get a lot of referrals from physios, osteos as well, and then they seem to just stay because they love it, which is great.
Yeah.
And the guys that come who are doing Pilates with their wife, it's a nice joint thing to do together, and they do it on Zoom with me or in a class on Zoom, and they feel more comfortable with that. And then I've got lots of guys in the halls that come and do Pilates, so a lot of older, so from 40s, 50s. I've got men in their 30s, but definitely it's becoming a lot more, men are becoming a lot more aware that the sports work as well that we do. I have a lot of guys that do sports, so it's a very specific purpose with the men. With the women, just want well-being, fitness, feel good, tone, definition, but also the strength training.
My next question to you is, what did you found really challenging about or worried when you were going through all of this with the menopause? What was the most challenge moment you have, or your clients, or something you hear a lot?
I think, what I struggle with now and ongoing, I think mainly my energy is number one. Like I'm teaching sometimes now, and I'll be doing a Zoom class, and they're back to back, and I'm doing all the exercise with them, and then sometimes my energy, it's like it just falls off a cliff, and so I just adapt how I'm teaching, and this was the main reason I got this studio, because I cannot sustain this, so I had to change how I work. I had to literally do something that was sustainable, so I don't physically have to do as much, because I literally can't. I couldn't carry on doing 20 hours of exercise, and I was getting niggles. I was getting my back was beginning to it was hurting anyway, but I have a little bit of an autoimmune issue. I've got it's ankylosing spondylitis. Basically, I had positive markers. I was getting iritis. I have a problem with my heel at the moment. Sometimes I get flare-ups, and I manage it all with Pilates. So I'm in the best job possibly to manage that condition. But combined with menopause, perimenopause, going into menopause, it was a worry for me, because I needed to make sure I look after myself. And this is how I've done it, creating the studio. Yeah. So, and also I think having the transition from going to be really successful in London, having a flourishing business, that's my self-worth, as well as obviously my children, to then going to another area where no one knows me and having to establish myself. I was really anxious about that. But then combined with that, I was getting the symptoms of perimenopause. And I found it was a real struggle, the negative chatter almost. Suddenly I would feel quite irrational. I would suddenly feel doubt myself and thinking, God, can I take to be successful? It was almost a little bit pessimistic. And persistence pays, keep going. Luckily, I'm quite headstrong, but that was a real struggle. And now I get feelings of anxiety sometimes, and it's got nothing to be anxious about, but I'm very aware. I get that. It's like a physiological thing. So I'm getting that symptom from perimenopause. And
then you breathe. So if you are anxious, do you do a special exercise, or do you go into a breathing mode? Or
what I do is I can physically feel it. So it's body awareness, number one. Then I just breathe, and I also try and just rationalize. So by having that awareness, you accept you've got it, then you're like, okay, I've got this. Is it rational? And quite often it is not for me. I could just be anxious. Like, it's just a physiological feeling that I feel in my body, and I've got nothing to be anxious about. And it's like, okay, that's hormones. So how do we deal with it? Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that insulin, cortisol, and I'll go for a walk, or I will blitz it on the reformer, or and I get through it by exercise, basically. And that's also, I highly recommend, whatever your vehicle is, exercise-wise. For me, before, I would just go for a run. And that would help me, actually, because I love running, but I can't at the moment because of this inflammatory response in my heel. So annoying, so boring. It's all these ailments we get, but we just have to manage them. And hormones have a part to play in all of these as well. So that's why we have to be so body aware. And we just got to accept and do what we can, and wherever you're at. So I definitely would want to explore what I could do to help with the feeling of anxiety. I think getting your hormone level at the place you can. So I've done that. Monitoring it. Do the exercise, and the breathing. So sometimes, like, the kids might be driving me mad as well. It happens, and you just got to be self-aware. And what I do is, I heard on this podcast where you breathe in, and then you do this, and you imagine, like, all the frustration, the tension just getting out of your body. So sometimes I'll be driving, and the kids are in the back, driving me crazy, and you do that 3 times, and then they join in. But it becomes, like, quite funny, and we're like, it's just like, and you just make it a joke, and you just laugh, because laughter just takes out of that anxiety. So anytime
everything,
just laugh it off, have awareness. I just share with my kids, Mummy's feeling a little bit tense right now, or she's feeling a bit anxious.
And Rosa, to wrap up this incredible interview, what advice do you have for us?
So 1, Pilates. If you do Pilates, if that's great. If you don't, give it a try. Just explore it, see if it's for you. Some people might be into yoga, Pilates, weights, whatever is your thing, whatever you love. I would say just go do it. Just keep doing it. As long as anything that you do for your health is, like, really, really important. You just got to keep doing it. But definitely, whatever your vehicle is, include some strength training for women. You need to do that. The plyometric, the jumps, the interval training. We will be doing that next week, Sheila. We're going to be doing the strength interval.
Oh, no.
You need to be doing this to help you, and I would recommend everyone do that. And there's so many podcasts on why you need to do that. That's a different scope. Listen to them. And and just mindfulness. There's so many things on mindfulness. Just breathe if you need to. Recognize when you're feeling stressed. Do just a reset. Do 3 deep breaths. Reset. That sometimes is enough just to help you. I'm no good at meditation. I have to, but I go for a walk instead. Whatever. Do that. And just focus on your health, basically, and your mental well-being. What makes you feel happy? Do it every day.
Rosa, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
My queens, thank you for tuning into this week's episode. Today we covered Rosa on how Pilates can help with menopause and perimenopause. Rosa, you are on Instagram. What is your handle?
Pilatus Plus Wellness Weybridge, and PilatesPlusWellness.com is my website.
Yeah. And you have kindly offered to take any questions. People can reach out to you with questions and information. And I personally can vouch. Please, if you are in Weybridge, come and see her. If you're not, tune in. It's worth. My body's changing. My mind is changing. I still talk. I still don't breathe properly, but I'm sure in 3 months she will have me in shape. So to all of you ladies, be sure to join us again, as new episodes will be released every week. Don't forget to follow Femina Wellness, and don't forget to follow Rosa on Pilates Weybridge.
Plus Wellness Weybridge.
There you go. And stay tuned and see you next week. And most importantly, spread the word.